You know that moment when someone brings up elementary school and everyone starts laughing about playground drama, embarrassing moments, and that one teacher who scared everyone? And you're just sitting there nodding along with absolutely zero actual memories. Like you know you went to school intellectually, but the whole thing is basically a black box labeled ages 5 through 11 with a couple of random images floating around. Your brain decided those 6 years weren't worth keeping on file. And honestly, that says something fascinating about how your mind works. See, having minimal memories from elementary school isn't just about forgetting, it's about how your brain was literally under construction during those years. And sometimes the construction crew knocked down the old building before the new one was finished. And there's some wild psychology hiding in those blank spaces. Here's what most people don't know. Around ages 8 and 9, your brain actively starts deleting early childhood memories, like on purpose. Research shows that kids who are 7 can remember over 60% of events from when they were 3, but by age 9, that number drops to less than 40%. Your brain is running a software update, and old files are getting corrupted in the process. And here's the really wild part. Children between 4 and 8 years old forget memories way faster than adults do. Research tracking kids over time found that 4 to 6-year-olds forget autobiographical memories even more rapidly than 8-year-olds. Kids are literally growing into their amnesia. They form the memories initially, remember them for a while, and then those memories just vanish. It's called childhood amnesia, and it's happening to everyone. But for some people, it hits way harder. The average person's earliest memory is around age 3 or 4. But if you can't remember anything before age 7, 8, or even 10, you're in a different category entirely. Your memory system came online late. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Your hippocampus, that memory processing center in your brain, was straight up immature during elementary school. It's like trying to save files on a computer that's still downloading its operating system. Sure, the files go somewhere temporarily, but they're not getting properly archived. The prefrontal cortex, which helps organize memories into a coherent narrative, wasn't fully developed either. But there's another factor nobody talks about: language. Before you had the vocabulary to describe experiences, your brain encoded memories differently, nonverbal memory. And when you try to access those memories later with your fancy adult language-based recall system, it's like trying to open a Mac file on a Windows computer. Format incompatible. And here's the psychological plot twist. New neurons being created in your hippocampus during childhood actually disrupt existing memory pathways. Your brain is generating fresh neural connections, and in the process, it's paving over the old roads. It's neurogenesis gone rogue. Great for development, terrible for your ability to remember Mrs. Johnson's third-grade class. Now let's talk about the people who remember almost nothing. Not just the fuzzy early years, but entire chunks of elementary school. That's when psychologists start asking different questions. Because when you're missing whole developmental periods, that can signal something beyond normal childhood amnesia. If your childhood environment was unpredictable, emotionally unsafe, or just consistently stressful, your brain might have actively suppressed memory formation. Not because something horrific necessarily happened, but because your system was in survival mode rather than archival mode. You were too busy managing your emotional environment to properly encode what was happening around you. Dissociation is the word psychologists use. It's when your mind detaches from overwhelming experiences to protect you. And if that became your baseline operating mode as a kid, you're not making stable memories. The memories aren't repressed in the Freudian sense, they were never fully formed in the first place. Even without overt trauma, some family environments don't support memory formation. If nobody in your house talked about past events, reflected on experiences, or asked you about your day, your brain never learned that remembering was important.
Parent-child conversations about the past literally teach children how to build autobiographical memory. No conversations, no memory scaffolding.
But here's what's fascinating. Even people with massive memory gaps often remember highly emotional events. The emergency room visit, moving to a new house, a pet dying. These memories stick because emotion is like superglue for memory formation. Your brain prioritizes experiences that had significant emotional weight. That random Tuesday in fourth grade, not so much. And there's something else. The memories you do have from childhood often aren't even yours. They're reconstructions based on family stories, photos, and videos. You've been told about your sixth birthday party so many times that you think you remember it, but you're actually remembering the story about it. Your brain has created a false memory file from secondhand information. So, what does it mean psychologically when you don't remember elementary school? For some people, honestly, nothing. Your hippocampus took its time maturing, you weren't in an emotionally expressive household, and your brain was busy building other cognitive skills. You're fine. But for others, those blank spaces are worth examining, especially if they come with a sense of disconnection from your own past, if you feel like you're missing part of your story. That's when the gaps might be saying something about how you learned to cope with your early environment. And here's the thing about memory that nobody tells you. It's not actually about the past. It's about constructing a coherent sense of who you are right now. Adults use childhood memories to build their identity narrative. But if you don't have those memories, you're building that narrative differently, from later experiences, from whom you became rather than who you were. If early experiences were confusing or painful, maybe not having clear access to them allows you to define yourself more freely. You're not anchored to a childhood story that doesn't serve you. That's a kind of psychological freedom, even if it comes with a sense of loss. But there's a cost, too. You can't access the origin story of your own patterns. Why do you hate confrontation? Why does that specific song make you anxious? No idea. The files are gone. You're reverse engineering your own personality without the source code. And when people ask why you are the way you are, you genuinely don't have answers, just theories about a person you can't remember being. So, if you genuinely can't remember elementary school, you're not defective. You're experiencing an extreme version of a completely normal developmental phenomenon. Your brain was doing what all brains do, just cranked up to 11. The hippocampus was slow to mature. The prefrontal cortex took its time. Neurogenesis was aggressive. And maybe your emotional environment didn't support memory formation the way it does for some people. The real question is whether those gaps bother you. If you're fine with not remembering, then cool. You're living proof that you don't need childhood memories to be a functional adult. But if it feels like something's missing, if you want to understand why your memory works this way, that's worth exploring. Because here's the truth. Whether you remember elementary school or not, those experiences still shaped you. The emotional patterns you learned, the ways you learned to cope, all of that is still in there, just not in a form you can consciously access. Your childhood is encoded in how you move through the world now, even if you can't recall the specific events. So yeah, some people remember every detail of third grade, and you remember basically nothing. Your brain made different choices about what to keep and what to let go. And honestly, that's less about what happened to you and more about how your developing mind decided to organize itself. Look, at the end of the day, memory is weird, and childhood amnesia is universal. You just got the deluxe version. Your brain's filing system had some quirks during installation. Maybe it was pure neurobiology. Maybe it was environment. Maybe both. But you're not alone in this, even if it feels lonely sometimes. And if this resonated with you at all, drop a comment about what you do or don't remember from elementary school, because I'm genuinely curious how this plays out for different people. And if you want more psychology content that explains why you are the way you are, subscribe, because we're breaking down all the weird stuff your brain does that you thought was just you.